Hello and welcome back to Shattering Myths. Before we turn to Yah's instruction regarding the Shabbat, Larry has sent me two additional photographs that are extraordinarily troubling. And the photograph that I spoke of in the last segment of the last hour, which does show two individuals that certainly are not with earpieces and military garb on, with backpacks that are similar to a bomber and talking to one another, and their backs are directly up against the area where the bomb went off, and then they're in the street looking at the site. And then there's another picture that shows the gentleman that I've seen in so many pictures. He's running, same boots, same khaki pants, same jacket, but a different individual, because you can tell his face is different. Both in the street in the immediate aftermath of the bomb, and then running immediately thereafter. And then four pictures, all in exactly the same garb, same jackets, same backpacks, same earpieces, milling around the site in the immediate aftermath of the bombing. There is no chance that no reasonable, rational chance that some aspect of the U.S. government wasn't there with backpacks similar to the bombers, with in immediate proximity of all of this. That part is true. So Larry's contention that there were members either of the U.S. military or the FBI who were all dressed the same, with the same kind of backpack, same kind of communication device, looks like a walkie-talkie, and in the case of each of these individuals with an earpiece, in the exact location where the bombs were placed, immediately before they were placed, and surrounding the event in teams of two after the bombing. Those pictures are extraordinarily troubling, and Americans are owed an explanation as to how that could possibly be. Deeply troubling. And so, well, Larry and I would agree with everything up to the point of actually being perpetrated by the government, as opposed to what would be, by the way, in a court of law, a government would be an individual that knows of that a crime is going to happen, and that does not reveal what they know in advance of the crime occurring, brought to trial, will be found guilty of the crime. And so the United States FBI knew that 9/11 was going to happen exactly the way it was perpetrated, 5 to 6 years in advance. And so if the FBI were brought to trial based upon that, and then what subsequently happened, they would be found guilty of the crime. They would be sentenced as having been an accomplice to murder. Second, when you cover up information and you don't reveal information or forthcoming with information regarding the perpetration of a crime, in the case of the FBI, after the event happened, and not disclosing its direct connection with Ramzi Youssef and the Abu Sayyaf Islamic terrorist group in the Philippines, then you are also guilty of a crime. And so in the case of 9/11, using the jurisprudence of the United States, the U.S. government would be guilty of having both allowed the crime to happen and foreknowledge, and secondarily covering up evidence regarding its perpetration, so that the government could go off and fight against symptoms. This picture here of Boston with individuals who are clearly government, standing all around, wearing the similar kinds of backpacks, and all milling about together in the exact place that went off, and then in the immediate aftermath. Recognizing all that takes your breath away. It is deeply, deeply troubling. I still won't go to the point where I'm convinced that the United States would actually perpetrate the act, but it's a very fine line from knowing it's going to happen and covering up information regarding the nature of the act, blaming someone who was not responsible, so that American liberties could be stolen, so that Americans could be deployed in a foolish war, counterproductive war, is certainly something the government has done in the past. Now I want to turn to Yah's testimony, because he has the only way out of this. We only cover the news so that you understand why it is in your interest to do as Yahowah asked, which is to walk away from your country, to disassociate yourself from human institutions that are akin to Babylon, which would be politics and religion, from military and economic schemes. God wants you to disassociate with them, and until you do, you are not able to participate in the covenant. So, for example, there's going to be an interfaith religious service in Boston today. There'll be a Muslim, there'll be Christians, there'll be Jews, all that are asked to participate. I was actually in attendance at the National Cathedral for the 9/11 version of this, and it made me want to scream when an imam was brought in to speak, when in fact his religion had caused the crime. The same thing will take place in Boston, and yet no one will care. And it is this president has learned, as George Bush did, that if you pull the heartstrings and you speak of God and you speak of prayer and you speak of these kinds of things, that you will endear yourself with the American people, and he will pull at those heartstrings. But I can assure you that there will be no one gathered in that service that knows God. Not one. Yahowah's instructions regarding his Shabbat were unambiguous. They were clearly authoritative. There is no way to misunderstand them, to misrepresent them, or to annul them. And yet, less than 1 in 1,000 people, maybe less than 1 in 1,000,000 people, actually observe the Shabbat as Yahowah himself does, as Yahowah told us to. It's probably in the range of 1 in 1,000,000. And even the fundamentalist Jews who observe the Shabbat, they observe it in accordance with rabbinical law. They do not observe it in accordance with Yahowah's instructions. So they would have to be discluded from those who observe it in the manner that Yahowah did. And Yahowah not only told us what he had chosen to do regarding the seventh day, Saturday on our calendar, he did it himself. He himself walked the walk. He got on his knees to lift us up on the Shabbat, and he wants us to recognize that. And yet, what do you suppose the motivation was for the imperial edict? Constantine's historian, Eusebius, recorded in 321 CE. My good friend Larry has cited this from you, for you, and for us on this program before. Eusebius is one of the most recognized historians of the era. He was Constantine's primary historian. And in 321 CE, on behalf of the pagan Mithras, worshiping Constantine, this is what he recorded as the edict from Constantine, who is the founder of Roman Catholicism. Quote, "All things whatsoever that was the duty to do on the Shabbat," which is to pay attention to Yah's instructions, "those things have been transferred to the Lord's day," end quote. So even if you're not a Roman Catholic, if you are a Protestant Christian, you'll still refer to the day as the Lord's day. What is the Lord's day? Sunday. Who was the Lord? Same as he's always been, Satan. The Lord's day is Satan's day. It is the day of worship of the sun. The founder of Roman Catholicism called Sunday Sol Invictus Mithras, the day of the unconquerable sun, Mithras. Under penalty of death, he decreed that all within his empire must cease work on Sunday to honor the sun god. The blue laws that exist throughout the southern United States are all a direct derivative of Constantine's transference of Yahowah's instructions to Mithras, the sun, Satan. And It is just stunning that people ignorant, apathetic, religious, easily indoctrinated, played for fools, honor it today. And if you tell people that that is opposed to God's instructions, which it clearly is, irrefutably, undeniably, in direct opposition to God's instructions, they will label the person bringing the message a kook. They will slander the person bringing the message. They will even slander the source of the information, which is Yahowah's Torah. Slandering, demeaning, spitting and kicking at God's foundational document, his Torah. There's an animosity to the God of the Torah, not only in Christendom, but also in Islam and indeed in socialist secular humanism. The moment you mention Yahowah's name, they bristle. The moment you talk about what he said, they choke. When it is said that Paul went to war against the Torah, in Paul's own words, that he saw himself as denouncing it, destroying it, annulling it, disdaining it, all because he saw it as pedagogic, as being the text of an outdated, arcane, mean-spirited God of the past. That there is complete and total animosity, hatred, not only of the Torah, but of the God who authored the Torah, who happens to be the very God who conceived the universe and authored life. And when you go as far as to say that Christians actually hate that God, and they despise his Torah, some will bristle at that notion, but it is the only rational conclusion that can be drawn from their overt animosity towards it. All derived directly from Paul, whose religion, whose new faith was perfect to match Sol Invictus Mithras and the Lord's Day and Constantine and his decrees on behalf of Roman Catholicism and indeed all of Christianity today. Christians, you've been played for a fool.
Don't throw away leftovers. Instead, throw all your leftovers, vegetable peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, pizza crusts, and more into the bokashi. If you love to garden and compost but don't like the hassle of turning a compost bin or the smell, then check out the EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terra Organics. Finally, a way to recycle all your food and plant waste safely and effectively and stop using fertilizers. The EM Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System. Rather than decomposition, the Bokashi system uses fermentation to break down waste, so it takes less time to create nutrient-dense humus for crops or gardens, with no churning and no obnoxious odors. To learn more and order your Bokashi online, visit Terraganics.com and click on the orange button. That's Terraganics.com, spelled Terraganix.com, or call 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Recycle all your food wastes in about 6 weeks with the Bokashi Food Waste Recycling System from Terraganics.com. Terraganics. Life's getting better.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
time and time again.
You need to come here and help us. We need assistance, please.
Those we should be able to depend on let us down.
Federal and state and local officials saying help is on the way. Well, the folks here in Bell Harbor say, show me.
Don't depend on the government to save you. Take action now so that you're prepared for the next disaster with MyPatriotSupply.com. Get the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Call 866-229-0927.
We are hurting down here, and we need help immediately.
Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Since disaster can strike at any time, you always need to be prepared. And not just with an insurance policy. Superstorm Sandy left thousands of people starving and stranded for weeks. You need to be prepared with an emergency supply of food. Now through April 30th, save up to 25% on freeze-dried food during the Freeze-Dry Guy Makes and Match number 10 can sale. Freeze-dried food packed in heavy-duty double-enameled number 10 cans. With over 99% of the oxygen removed, it has the longest shelf life of any food available. Over 25 years. Choose from entrees, meats, vegetables, fruits, and desserts. All made in the USA. Just add hot water, wait 10 minutes, and serve. And the taste, absolutely delicious. Free shipping to 48 states. Now through April 30th, save up to 25%. Visit freezedryguy.com. freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-3663. 866-404-3663. Act today. Don't miss out.
So I ask you, did Constantine, the founder of the Roman Catholic Church, the founder of Christianity as we know it today, now that's a bit of a stretch. The Christian religion was founded by Paul. It is his letters that create the Christian religion. I know Christians will bristle at that. They'll say, oh no, our religion was founded by Jesus Christ. You don't know his name, you don't know his title, you have no idea what he did and said, and your religion bears nothing in common with his life and his words. As a matter of fact, when you look at his first public declaration and his first private declaration. The first private declaration is the one that we witness in his conversation with the adversary Satan, where his first recorded statement completely undermines Christianity, and then in his first public declaration, his advocacy for the Torah and his speaking of how a wolf in sheep's clothing will come from within to undermine the credibility of the Torah and therefore to lead people to their death. It is impossible to actually consider the words and the life and the deeds of Yahowah, who was Torah observant, and to consider him the founder of the Christian religion. Everything he said and did was opposed to the Christian religion. Everything that Paul wrote and said is foundational to the Christian religion. Everything that Paul wrote and said was directly opposed to everything Yahowah and Yahowah said and did. So yes, Paul is the founder of the Christian religion. It is undeniable. You have to be either ignorant or irrational not to recognize that. But Constantine is the one who took the religion conceived by Paul and made it political. Made it such that the vast majority of people would not only follow it, but that they would be uniformly beguiled. His outline of God's 7 festival feasts, because they were Jewish, began the process. Then his transfer of all things related to the Shabbat being transferred to the Lord's Day, which is Sunday, and honoring Satan, was next. And make no mistake, the Lord's Day was the day of Mithras. Mithras is a pagan manifestation of Satan. Satan is the sun. If you look at all of the mythos of Mithraism, It's almost a perfect fit for Christianity as it's practiced today. Just as is the cult of Dionysus, which became Bacchus. All of it's the same. All of it's a perfect blend of what you see in Christianity today. A religion wholly disassociated from the actual Messiah, Yahusha, and from Yahowah's Torah. And yet, by Constantine being a general, turned emperor, turned pope, and his endorsement of this new religion based upon Mithraism, calling it Christianity based upon a corruption of Yahusha's title, means Christos means drugged in Greek. This religion was conceived. And most people aren't willing to think about it because the religion is based upon faith, and with faith you don't need to know anything. Faith is kind of like propaganda. Okay, the message we're giving you is completely rotten, but most people are going along with it, therefore you might as well believe it too. And people do. Over and over again, the world over. And soon you have 2 billion people in the world today that are played for fools by the Christian religion, another 1.5 billion that are played for fools by the Islamic religion, and another 1.5 that are played for fools by socialist secular humanism, the religion of man. All because they don't think. The Roman Catholic Church, its founder, Constantine, did he do this because he and his clerics were illiterate and therefore ignorant? Did he create a politicized version of Mithraism, changing the names to appeal to this burgeoning religion that was being manifest through Paul's letters out of ignorance? Was this exchange just a colossal blunder, one born out of confusion rather than intent? Can you look at it and say, well, they were trying to do the right thing, they were just a little confused? Or did Constantine, the founder of Roman Catholicism, issue this edict because he rejected Yahowah's revelation, that he revered Paul, and thus the devil's dribble? Was changing the day because he saw the sign of the cross, which is a pagan symbol of his God, superimposed on his God, the sun, telling him under this sign, conquer, and therefore, just like Paul, he had been inspired by Satan himself?
Gardeners, here comes another growing season, but don't use last year's soil. Maximize yields in your survival garden with EM1 from Terraganics. EM1 is an organic soil conditioner, fertilizer amendment, and compost accelerant that provides a broad spectrum of beneficial microorganisms, enzymes, trace minerals, vitamins, and various organic acids. EM1 helps regulate the soil's pH level and its soil microbes, improving moisture retention and drought tolerance. Remember last year's dry conditions? EM1 from Terraganics is safe, chemical-free, and certified for use on all organic farms. It improves plant quality, size, color, flavor, and gives up to 20% more nutrient value in fruits and vegetables, and greatly increases shelf life. And EM1 is so simple to use, just mix with water and apply. This year, prepare your crisis garden for maximum yields with EM1 from Terraganics.com. Order now at TerraGanix.com or call toll-free 866-369-3678. That's 866-369-3678. Terraganics. Life's getting better.
You've heard about our MRE smorgasbord. Now, Long Life Food Depot introduces the most unique, safe, and longest-lasting way to stash emergency food, the Eat Pod. Most survival food products recommend an ideal storage environment, including low temps, low moisture, and low oxygen. If you're storing in a basement, too humid, garages and attics, too hot. But the waterproof, double-walled, high-density polyethylene patent-pending Eat Pod is a unique roll-away food bunker that creates the perfect conditions. Can be buried up to 30 feet and can keep your survival food supply safe, secure, dry, and virtually undetectable for 25 years or more. Get full details on the Eat Pod at eatpod.com, spelled EATPOD.com, or call 800-601-2833. That's 800-601-2833. The Eat Pod from Long Life Food Depot. Since 1983, sending real food to your real future.
natural disasters, down economy, and inflating gas prices. Wondering how to prepare for what's next? Come to the Self-Reliance Expo at the Arlington Convention Center to learn about food and water storage, emergency power, shelters and financial management, hands-on training. We've got beekeeping, suturing, and learn how to build your own solar panels and so much more. Activities for the whole family. Self-Reliance Expo, Arlington Convention Center, Friday and Saturday, April 26th and 27th. Tickets and schedule at selfrelianceexpo.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
What do you do when your propane runs out and you don't have a large amount of wood for cooking? That's when you need a Grover rocket stove from StockStorage.com. The Grover rocket stove starts easily with any combustible material like junk mail, small twigs, leaves, weeds, or dry sagebrush. Then just add a small amount of kindling wood and you'll be cooking entire meals in minutes. Grover rocket stoves are made right here in the USA and are built to last a lifetime using heavy-duty thick-gauge steel and are painted with high-temp paint to withstand heat. Go to StockStorage.com and see 3 great Grover rocket stoves, stainless steel, heavy-duty, or our original Grover rocket stove for only $135, and get free shipping to the lower 48. For phone orders, call 801-361-6984 or go to StockStorage.com. That's 801-361-6984 or StockStorage.com. The original Grover Rocket Stove Minimal Wood Use Cooking Stoves, available exclusively from StockStorage.com.
Springtime is sale time at Herbal Healer Academy. Current customers know this is the time to save big and stock up at herbalhealer.com. New customers, welcome to the web's best place to save on vitamins, minerals, and more. Right now, Herbal Healer's spring specials include our 500 parts per million colloidal silver, all sizes on sale. CoQ10 with Hawthorne, colon enhancer, sea cucumber, Super Fem and Super Male Plex, plus glucosamine chondroitin, our best-selling liquid CalMag vitamin D, and our colloidal minerals, all on sale for spring at herbalhealer.com. And Herbal Healer also offers certificate correspondence courses in natural medicine. Enjoy same-day shipping and free online newsletter. Log on to our nation's leader in supplying quality natural medicine and education since 1988. Herbal Healer Academy at herbalhealer.com.
Welcome back to Shattering Myths. I am pausing here a moment in the midst of the realization that if you're a Christian, you've been played for a fool by Constantine and by Paul, who have deliberately led you to a place that evidence and reason would firmly declare is unreliable. That your faith in the Christian religion, as articulated by Paul, as promoted by Constantine, is completely disingenuous, faulty, 100% unreliable, that 100% of those who have placed their faith in Christianity have ceased to exist. There's not a single Christian in heaven, not one. Not one. And that the evidence for that is ubiquitous. It is impossible to misunderstand God's testimony, both as Yahowah and in his human diminished manifestation as Yahusha. They speak with exactly the same voice, communicating the exact same testimony, talking the same talk, walking the same walk. And their talk and their walk are 100% the inverse, the opposite of the religion of Christianity promoted by Constantine and Paul. And as I was in the midst of this, I have now received multiple pictures now from Larry. And I do owe Larry an apology. Not apologizing because Larry needs an apology. Larry did not leave the program in the last segment because of any other reason than he needed to help his daughter with the project. But one of the things that I disagreed with Larry on, and is that it's hard for me to believe that we're a bunch of SEALs in exactly those places, operating as teams in the immediate time before and in exactly the place the bombs went off and immediately thereafter. But that's the truth. What he said there is accurate. I've now seen far too much evidence that they were U.S. military personnel, may now have been former U.S. military personnel that were now part of the FBI or some other U.S. government office, but U.S. government personnel were wearing the same kind of backpacks that the bomb was hidden in. They were communicating with each other. They were in teams in exactly the place where the bomb went off and supervising the area in its immediate aftermath. And so it does beg the question, what were they doing there? And how is it possible that we haven't heard about their presence related to that event? It is this, if there was ever a case where the U.S. government is hiding information from us, these pictures make it absolutely clear. The destroyer cap that was worn by these government operatives, if you will, is undeniable, as is their get-up from top to bottom. And so it is, Larry, you are right. Their presence is there. That still does not mean the U.S. perpetrated it, but it certainly indicates that they knew that such a plot was afoot, and they were witnesses to it, and at the very least were incapable of stopping something that they foresaw happening. And as a result, little children have been blown to pieces. A score of people have lost their legs. 3 have died. 17 are still in critical condition. It's despicable. And the fact that the U.S. government has said nothing about it tells you that, just as was the case with Constantine, where he, on behalf of his influence as a military leader, as a general, his influence as a emperor, as a political leader, his influence as the first pope, as a religious leader, deliberately, purposefully pulled a beguiling myth over the world, creating a religion that people would subsequently follow without thinking, all having imaginary relationships with an imaginary God. Shows you just how effective lies can be when they're perpetrated by people in positions of power. And it's why God says, walk away from it. Unless you are willing to walk away from that, you can't participate in my covenant. You can't enter my home. You can't partake in the benefit of Passover and unleavened bread and first fruits and Shavuot, to become immortal, to be perfected, to be adopted into my family, to be enriched and empowered by my spirit and my teaching, until you first walk away from these things. These myths are pervasive. They're the broad path that Yahowah speaks about, that Yahowah specifically attributed to Paul. Constantine did this deliberately, purposefully. He pulled off a ruse on the world that has cost billions of souls their very lives. The U.S. government is no better than was Constantine. Not a bit. Every bit is willing to deceive. Every bit is covetous of power and control. And it is this blend of militarism, which we view as patriotism, and we devote ourselves to the service of those who allegedly provide our freedoms, which is the antithesis of what God is actually telling us. They're depriving us of our freedom, just as their freedoms are deprived, just as they are conditioned to view humanity as worthy of killing. It's this blend of militarism and patriotism, of politics and religion, that we see witness before our eyes every day in the media, in government, in the pulpits, that has deceived so many. If you want a conspiracy, that's your conspiracy. And it is particularly sad that the vast preponderance of people can't process it. I had a caller this morning. I was doing another interview on KGAB Clear Channel station in the mountain states this morning before this show. And one of the callers came in and says, we always talk about the old adage here that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. He says, I've read your books. The case you make is irrefutable. And it's a shame that so few people are willing to observe the evidence that you have provided and to connect the dots so that they can understand what is happening to them. But that's the case. Most people are unwilling to. Most people simply look at those who will bring them this kind of a message and they label them a kook and they walk away. One of the reasons that I can go all the way to where Larry was, but one step back, which is to the perpetration of the crime by the American government, as opposed to the allowing the crime to go forth, to lying about who perpetrated the crime, and then using said crime to restrict Americans' freedom and restrict them of their money and to go off and kill needlessly, is because it requires some degree of credibility to present Yahowah's message. His message, God's teaching, is so contrary to what our government and our religious institutions and our media trumpet universally, that you can't go about this mission and squander what credibility you may have. And I don't claim to have much. I don't claim that any of this is based upon who I am or what I know, only who I know and what I have observed in Yah's testimony. But there is a reason that God has encouraged us not to trumpet conspiracies. He's told us who perpetrates them, how they're perpetrated, why they're perpetrated. He associates them with Hasatan, the adversary, but he says, I don't want you to go there. And I think it's for this very reason. What little credibility I have is based solely on my willingness to consider what God had to say and apply it based upon what he has to say against those doctrines, those political and religious schemes that oppose it. And so we will continue to do that, just as we are here with Roman Catholicism and what has become mainstream Christianity as a direct result of what Constantine did based upon Paul's writings, turning something that Satan inspired into the religion of Christianity. Now, in this particular case, Paul admits in his second letter to the Corinthians that he was demon-possessed. Read it. The thorn in his side was actually a goad. It's the same goad that he had the devil tell him about. He says, hey, Paul, you're seeking me. You're searching after me. All of this ruthlessness and savagery that you're manifesting is all about me. This is Satan speaking to Paul on the road to Damascus. But you can't rebel against me. You can't fight what I am. I control you. That's what he said. And then Paul, in his second letter to the Corinthians, admits that he was controlled, goaded, managed wholly by Satan. And yet, Christians believe this inspiration, which uses the exact same strategy that God tells us Satan deployed in the garden. He slipped into the garden. God allowed him in, which means that God allows his word to be corrupted. Satan twisted what God said, misapplied it, got Eve, whose real name is Yahowah, means life giver, to go along, to extend beyond what God had actually said. Oh boy, you better not even touch it. And through twisting of Yah's testimony, rebelled. That's all he ever does. How does Paul garner credibility for what is an outright lie? He does so by twisting Yah's testimony, by usurping God's credibility and making it appear that God is saying that God agrees with the antithesis of what God has said. That's how satanic religions work. Christianity is a satanic religion because what it does is it garners Yahweh's credibility and then twists his message. We have Larry back on the line, and Larry, after the commercial break, I'd love your additional input, because what I think we're seeing in terms of what happened in Boston and what Constantine did so many hundreds of years ago, there is a striking similarity that we ought not miss, nor should we miss how easy it is to fool the majority of the people.
Will I have garlic breath after I take Ali-C?
We get that question all the time about the world's best garlic extract, Ali-C. And the answer is, Ali-C contains stabilized allicin, nature's antimicrobial agent, and the active ingredient in crushed garlic, but will not give you garlic breath. Scientifically proven in double-blind studies, using low doses of allicin greatly reduces the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Our powerful Ali-C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin. Just one tablet of Ali-C is equivalent to 40 garlic cloves. It's effective against asthma, MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections, and helps lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Plus, it's a natural mosquito repellent. Boost resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali-C. For more information and to order Ali-C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 877-888-7126 or garlichealthproducts.com. Fight back with Ali-C.
Being prepared against possible food shortages and economic collapse is not complicated. Just remember two words: disaster stuff. Add .com after those two words and you've got just one site for all your preparedness needs. Disasterstuff.com prepares your family against food shortages with Linden Farms freeze-dried foods in buckets or Gourmet Reserves freeze-dried food in number 10 cans, both with free shipping. Purify and rid your water of contaminants with a Big Berkey or other Berkey system and get free shipping, plus a water level spigot or fluoride filter at cost. And protect your radios and other electronics from EMPs with our EMP Faraday bags, starting at just $5.90. When the food shortages and economic instability happens, be ready with all your stuff from disasterstuff.com. Just remember two words: disasterstuff.com. Freedom through self-reliance and personal responsibility.
Are you still a traditional smoker? Now experience a new lifestyle and try vaping with e-cigarettes by LeSig. Imagine no ashes, stains, nasty smell, or coughing and hacking. With LeSig e-cigarettes' revolutionary microelectronic technology, rechargeable battery, and unique replaceable cartridge, you'll get all the benefits and satisfaction of smoking without the hazards. Choose your taste from a wide variety of our new American-made Vaporeon e-liquids at LeSig.com. And LeSig smokes the competition by serving thousands of worldwide customers with real people customer service, fast, free, same-day shipping, and a 30-day warranty and satisfaction guarantee. So are you ready for a new vaping lifestyle? Then call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Or visit LeSig.com, spelled LECIG.com. LeSig e-cigarettes for today's modern smoker.
Is this the year you finally get serious about your family's drinking water? If so, keep listening for a special offer from Big Berkey Water Filters. Did you know that over 60% of municipal water is fluoridated? Berkey Water Filters distinguish themselves from many other filtration systems with the capability to significantly reduce dangerous chlorine, fluoride, arsenic, and disinfection byproducts from municipal water via the Black Berkey and PF line of filters. Then there's affordability. At only 1.7 cents per gallon, Berkey Water Filters purify treated and untreated water, even stagnant pond water. Stop and think how much money you could save by simply reducing buying bottled water and using water filtered by your Berkey water filter. No need to be constantly replacing expensive filters with a Berkey. A single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. Choose the best size Berkey for your needs at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And right now, all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Just call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Or visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. Free shipping on every order over $50. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
For those who know the benefits of silver, for those who know the healing history of silver, and for those who want to be prepared, now there's Silver Gauze, a nylon elastic wrap with silver bonded to each individual fiber. Silver Gauze is a long-lasting, washable, and reusable must-have for any emergency kit. Get yours today at silvergauze.com, spelled silver, Gauze.com. Silver Gauze is what your emergency kit is missing.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Welcome back to the final segment of Shattering Myths. We have Larry back with us. Larry, before you begin, let me tell you that I am indeed saddened. I want to actually throw up. I've been watching during the commercial break this blend of patriotism and religion and politics that is ongoing in Boston now, with a Catholic cleric standing right in front of an Islamic imam in front of the President of the United States and talking about the U.S. Constitution and equating it to their Jesus Christ. And so here's an event just like 9/11 that should have, if you're informed and rational, should have caused you to be less patriotic, to be less militaristic, to be less political, and to be less religious. It should have told you that these things are the cause of this disaster. They are not the solution, and yet everybody was coerced into becoming more patriotic, more militaristic, more political, and more religious. Exactly the same thing is happening right now in Boston.
He isn't compromising, and they just showed you the compromise of Babylon.
Correct.
Everybody gets along and goes along. You know, I presented a woman on FB yesterday it's Hosea. He saves Hosea. 4. They've set up kings, but not by me.
Right.
They've made princes. I didn't know any of them. And their silver and their gold, they've made them idols, and they're going to be cut off. Guess what she countered with? Take a wild guess.
No.
You know. Romans 31:1.
Oh,
Paul
great.
says that everybody in government was put there by God.
Yeah, and also Romans 13.
Yeah, Romans 13:1. Yeah, we got Paul in direct opposition to Yahowah's words.
Correct. Yeah. If you had said Romans 13, that's where I would have gone. That's the submit to your government. It is absolutely true that what we're witnessing in Boston and the upsurge in patriotism, upsurge in religion, this national blending of multiple religions and multiple political perspectives, together with this sense of now we really need to rely on our judicial and military authorities, is exactly what happened after 9/11. It's exactly what's happening right now. And it is this very thing that any informed and rational person should flee from at this time, and yet the entire nation, just as it happened on 9/11, rallied around their country, rallied around their flag, rallied around patriotism, rallied around the military, rallied around their religion and the integration of religion and politics. Precisely what's being done right now in Boston in this pathetic display of Babylon.
And what does Yahowah say about it? What does he say about it? He says not to do any of it. Don't take part in any of it.
Don't walk away from it. Don't be associated with it in any way. Don't emulate it. Don't copy it. Don't participate in it. Don't advance it.
Calls it an abomination.
Absolutely. And yet, people here pretending that they're honoring God, that they're speaking for God, are doing exactly what God told us not to do. And why are they able to do it? Because Satan has specifically usurped God's authority. He has twisted God's message such that he gained credibility, and he has achieved what he has sought to achieve with the vast preponderance of humankind. He is now perceived as God. When they speak of the Lord, they're speaking of Satan. In this particular political circus that is going on right now, what we're having,
delusion.
correct. We are returning to Babylon. There is no difference between us and the Babylonians. We are pathetic, and it's so awesomely sad. You know, because I've sent you some emails, that I do owe you an apology for one aspect of what I said. You said that there's no question that there were SEALs on the scene, and that there was a very sizable U.S. government presence on the scene right before and in the exact place where the bombs went off, and right afterwards. And they're all wearing the same kind of backpacks. They're all clearly working for the U.S. government, and they are clearly dressed like SEALs. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. It is undeniable. If you look at all of the images, that can't be denied. Now, I'm not going to go the next step, which is just
I know you won't.
That the government orchestrated it, as opposed to the government knew it was going to happen, allowed it to happen, and now is using the fact that it is happening in this way to push people further away from God and to have more and more control through patriotism, through religion, through politics, through the military, of the very people that God is saying, walk away from these things. We are moving into the tribulation, into a time that Babel rules the nations of the earth, and God does not know them. I'm Yada. Thank you, Larry. We'll return to Shattering Myths tomorrow.